to the bold analysis. Just in my previous video, I was talking about the spiritual or rather religionization of the Kenyan politics by Kenya Kwanza team. Less than 24 hours, there is a video that has emerged from Karen because Deputy President was attending an election prayer day that was held in Karen in the morning, and there is a video that has emerged of him crying out in public. And to me, my attention has been drawn to that video for some specific reasons. If you watch the live stream that Deputy President William Ruto was having there, that part of the video where he cried did not come out publicly. But I want to play for you the video where DP Ruto was crying, and we'll try to do some fact check a bit. After that, then we'll move to the next part of this analysis. Now, listen, watch this video here where Ruto was crying. If you check that video, first it is taken by, it's a portrait form, which means it was taken by the phone. If you look at that area where they were holding the prayers, DP Ruto was seated in front, number one. Number two, the clergy, DP Ruto was in the front, was on the front seat. Then the clergy, of course, in the current altar. And for someone to have taken that video, he was targeting Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. And I want to say specifically that just from a critical analysis of that video, you can see someone who already had tried or had those intentions of taking that video, or that was planned. These prayers are not being held there for the first time. And DP Ruto, after portraying himself as a man who is the candidate of God in this election, or the church candidate, he's been attending these church sessions. But not at any instant have you ever seen a video of him crying out coming in public. In my understanding, that video was intentionally, or rather intentionally, they had scripted that part where Ruto was going to tear down. And that meeting was called specifically for the election, to pray for the peace in this country. If you look at it, the person who took the video alikuwa mbele ya Ruto. That means he was in front. That one can only be his official photographer, the social media team. In Karen, the bloggers cannot find their way to go and cover. The mainstream were not invited to go and cover that event. So from where I am seated, that video was released by William Ruto's digital team. And of course, they're waiting for the online outburst, and we're going to look at it. And just to make you understand better, I want you to listen to this 1-minute video. And this video is, I took it from, I extracted it from the whole service. And look to the end of video, you will see also Ruto was struggling with tears, struggling with his tears towards the end of that clip. Listen to that here.
God's hand in this journey. The far that God has brought us, the many issues we have overcome, we have seen the hand of God. And along the journey, we have come to appreciate that men can let you down, but God, so the way things are, there are people who would want to disrupt the peace of our country. We want also all of us to pray as Kenyans for a peaceful election. We want to cast our vote in peace. And we want every Kenyan to make their choices, because we know eventually, and so we are sure, to overcome all the challenges that face us. And I want to say that I am truly grateful that you have taken time to share these moments with us.
Now guys, the question that I keep on saying, if you follow that session, if you follow that prayer session, there is one thing that is coming out critical, and that is the fact that there is a tone of violence that Kenya Kwanza are talking about. There seems to be dragging a narrative that in this election, the country is going to experience some violence. I want to challenge that and say, if you listen to Ruto said there, he actually said that people are planning to create violence in this election. This has been the making of Kenya Kwanza, and Kenyans are asking, why are we even talking about something that do not exist? Actually, if there is something that should not even cross the mind of a Kenyan voter, is that after this election we're going to have some friction. It started by making a very sensitive claim that President Uhuru Kenyatta was targeting their family, was targeting the family of Deputy President. That came out, and it was like, honestly, I concur with the president. The president is outgoing. If he had a personal issue with Deputy President or Rigathi Gachagua, I think these people have been abusing the president for the last 3 years. It is not really logical to say that the president was attacking them. But to me, it was a very well laid strategy to create an emotional appeal in this election. Does it mean that the logic of the bottom up is no longer selling? Why is it that the Kenya Kwanza team, few days, barely 5 days to the election, are trying to drag an emotional appeal in this election? I want us to look at that aspect because that is something that is very critical. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. I want to continue saying thank you to our subscribers that are coming in numbers in special ways to support the 50 Bob challenge for Sarah Atieno, one of our subscribers here who reached out. She's in at Kenyatta Hospital, detained the hospital over acute leukemia, and she has undergone through the chemo sessions, and the bill has inflated to 1 million. So we are doing a challenge of raising at least 50 shillings. If 20,000 of us here can be in a position to achieve that, or rather to donate just at least 50 shillings, I believe that we are going to reach a target of 1 million and present our 1 million check as Team Bold. We are collecting it through my number 0710 62 78 89, and also those who can still reach out to Sarah, because of that condition it goes beyond just the money aspect. You can also just reach out with a word of encouragement and also make a contribution directly to her. Anything above 50 or anything, it can still make an impact. Sarah Tieno's number is 07 16 357 360. I want to believe that Deputy President William Ruto is staring at a loss, and this election seems to have gone. This is a man that receives briefs from, is at liberty to receive briefs from national intelligence. He is at liberty to do his own opinion polls and look at all the opinion polls are saying. It seems he has realized that, of course, fate is converging on Raila Amolo Odinga presidency, and it seems it is not his moment. That is something I've been saying here, and the tears that are coming out to create that emotional appeal, he's simply trying to create a buffer platform. He's just trying to create a buffer. In any case, if he goes to lose, he will have an option and say, perhaps we've been rigged, and from there run with a narrative that this election has been rigged. Remember, if there is something that has always kept Raila Odinga's presidential bid afloat, is the fact that he's been contesting the election results. And to supporters of Raila Odinga, they've always believed that Raila have never become president because he was never given, despite the fact that they had a feeling he was winning. So I think DP Ruto is creating this emotional appeal to make a buffer, cushion himself, and at least find a fallback platform. After this election, if he loses, maybe tries to go through litigation process. But there is something that he would love to do, that if in any case he's not going to win it, then maybe the election handlers might have subverted the will of God. And according to him, the will of God is William Ruto presidency. Even though we know that this is a bit of what people call hypocritical politics. Because you cry in Karen, but when you get to the top of your car in Nyeri, you abuse and say all sorts of words to anyone who is crossing your path. I think even this spiritual context also need some sort of humility. I want to say, by the way, in his speech he said that the August 9th context is not a political context, but is a spiritual context. So I don't know. I don't want to get to that. I see a man trying to attract sympathy vote after President Uhuru's rebuff. And what he always wanted is to get to the campaign trail, get an altercation with the President Uhuru Kenyatta, because the president is supporting Raila. For him, he comes out and plays the victim card. This has been the politics of Kenya Kwanza, and even the politicians and cheerleaders around deputy president. Those cheerleaders are around deputy president for one thing, that they are victims of President Uhuru Kenyatta's mistreatment in government. Some of them crave mistreatment and they are first-time members of parliament, someone like Rigathi Gachagua. So I see a sympathy push, but what I've always insisted is to what extent can the sympathy vote tilt the scales in your favor? Because emotions are transient. In media, there is something called media transient media. So someone only have specific time to listen to what you are saying in radio. So that is what emotions are. These emotions are not permanent. You are crying today, the next morning Kenyans have moved on and they are back to factory settings. If anything, this is not going to reach to the people in the villages. So I think the sympathy card might not sell very well, creating the violence, tension and violence. And this is the question I'm asking. To a William Ruto supporter, who is a very strong supporter in the middle of Nandi or in the middle of Uasin Gishu, when they see William Ruto crying, what do they think? Do you think they interpret it as spiritual, that Ruto was spiritually deep? They don't say that because of course they see him as a politician. They don't see him as an intercessor or as praise and worship, or they don't see him as a pastor. They see DP Ruto as a politician. So when he goes to cry out in public, one thing is to create to the supporters, they see the man as a man who has been beaten, or a man who is now being threatened, or as a man who is ni kama anaenda kunyang'anywa. So that is going to create unnecessary tension. And when I want to imagine Raila Odinga going to cry in the middle of Kisumu, I just want you to envision, what do you think is going to happen? The town will blow off. It's because as a leader, you're also, you have a following, you have a support, you have a command. So I see this as a ploy to create some sort of wiping emotions, so that anyway, however much it can turn out, but it's creating fatigue in his supporters. And I don't have a problem with crying because of the spiritual aspect, but I have a problem by the digital team or other strategy to let that video go out. It's not a problem to be in deep prayer and crying, but releasing that video out had some political objectives, because at the end of it, William Ruto is a politician. That's my bold statement. And guys, what do you think?